Team Liquid, let's start it off with our bans here on Coastline.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see what operators are going to be removed. There's always a couple of that spring to mind. And the first one will be Yana. Alright, that's not really what I expected to see, but it is going to be a decent ban nonetheless. It will be helping to keep your Rooney Gates alive at the early part of those rounds. Later as well, of course. Thatcher to be removed. That is basically a default ban. I'm not quite sure what the percentage is currently at SI, but I'll make sure to have that statistic for tomorrow.
That's it. I mean, obviously, we get to kind of re-go over this because so much Siege is happening.
Yeah.
Across 2 different streams. If you're unaware, we've been on Bravo stream
all day.
All day, Hap and I have been on this desk. So we're trying to keep up with what's going on, obviously, on the other stream. But to get the full idea of obviously everything coming together and watching the games, you can only really go by 2 things. 1, the results that pop up on the feed, a couple of clips that you get to see in between the games.
Yeah.
And 2, the sound of our co-casters.
Oh, yes.
On the other desk.
Sometimes you don't hear Ollie and Demo that loudly on our side, but when it's Ace and Dez,
honestly,
we can listen to the game and know exactly what's happening. But it's the other way around as well, because they were filing noise complaints about us. So
I understand that. I fully understand.
Especially when we go, Alamo!
What they need to do is stop organizing so much great Siege.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait, I disagree with that. Let's just have all the great Siege.
Let's get some extra space in between us, so...
Honestly, I don't think that would change it with some of the games that we've seen so far today. Let's see if that continues for our ultimate game, our finale on the Bravo stream for today to mark the end of the halfway point. Day 3 of 6, if my math still goes, but... Here we have ourselves set up on Blue Bar. As the opening hold and the opening potential of a take, you're looking across the operator selection. Nothing's jumping out too massively. It feels pretty standard for how this likes to go. You know, you have the ability to adapt, obviously, with the roam game, with that Vigil, who can cause a huge amount of problems here. The slight openings in the floor, and if you're playing around the hatches inside luggage or aqua, then it gives those lines 2 stories of trouble, which makes droning what is very flat and narrow corridors really tricky to get a bit of a handle on the corners and the angles that this cubist nightmare can offer.
It definitely does. We often do see a little bit of the extension, which currently does seem to come out on the likes of Six setting himself up inside the kitchen. A couple of reinforced walls to play with toward the server's entrance, whilst the rest of the team, I think there's only one member on site, Nesk. That's the first kill. Sexicate down onto mid. That is going to be the Jackal straight away gone, and that is going to be making the roam a little bit more pleasant to play like.
Yeah, you lose that as your opener. They're just trying to find their way into service. It's a pretty standard extension for a lot of teams to do on a Blue and Sunrise hold here. Is sure, they might not be expecting that much aggression, and even more. Sexy Cake double checks the doorway before rebuilding it. He was dropped on the approach. Sometimes, if they are playing service, they'll be a little bit more kind of tepid and keep themselves around the kitchen door instead. But here, Sexy Cake's not wasting any time. And DZ have unfortunately been taken by a bit of surprise early on, but now they've just got to try and reset and restack themselves across the top floor. The pressure comes over. They have a bit of cover there as Parlu goes for a bit of a roam towards Cool Vibes, wants to make a second story presence known.
Just the time slowly ticking down whilst DarkZero is fighting with a man down, hoping to deal with the shield, and Nask is going to be stopping that from happening, hoping to go for the second hatch up, but will not be finding him yet, and it's going to be the 2-man advantage now. Harbor, very important now, having those 2 impacts could be used to deal with some of that utility here as Palu goes aggressive, spots out the drone, tries to go for the shots onto Skies, but will not be dealing too much damage as both will stay alive.
Yeah, Skies is waiting for somebody to drift a little bit closer here. They're still playing with that intel and information game. They have a bit of an eye, but Nesk has another one, and there's one more. Nesk with a triple kill across the middle of the floor, and suddenly it's just Skies. He's dropped down to split and dropped Moringa, but they know exactly where he is, and there's a minute for them to try and do something else here. Nesk set himself up with a low hold now. He's aware that the rotation's coming up back around the top here. He's holding the angle, waiting for his fourth, doesn't find it, but Sexy Cake is there to close the round the same way he opened it, by running towards the outside.
For a while, you would have actually forgotten about the fact that we were playing on the bars as the first bomb site rather than hookah billiards, because of a lot of these gunfights, we were coming down around hookah billiards. There was a lot of these defenders up there as well. And of course, that is necessary. You need to have that vertical control. You need to try and stay in control of it. That's what Liquid did well. Their first defensive round on the board. Now Kitchen Service will be the site they opt to go to. Frost being brought out, of course, the mats that will be used to hold off the kitchen window, maybe even Sunrise if they want to extend towards that area. Mira also being brought out, will be used for that top floor, the Goyo. And it is going to be the Blitz that gets 6 bigs.
Well, it was a bit of a target ban in the previous game. Blitz was taken off and completely removed from the play of DarkZero. I guess it worked in that they lost the game, but at the same time, I don't think that was the biggest problem in the previous matchup.
Mental was chalked. That was it. It's just the mental. Nonetheless, though, we have a little bit of a rehost coming in the meantime. I quickly got confirmation from the producer about the touch ban rate.
Oh yeah?
78% on SI so far.
Oh,
that's pretty big, you would say, right?
I mean, yeah, you would.
You would indeed. So
it's also predictable. I guess it's pretty standard to a degree. Now we're used to having Thatcher removed from pretty much every single showing that we have in our tournaments across all the regions. And it's also a bit of a standard removal too. Sure, we're starting to see a little bit more flirtation with more interesting bans today, I think. Obviously, you said you're going to double check the Iana rate. I've seen it much more today than I have on the first 2 days across day 1 for Group A and Group B. But things like the Blitz, you know, things that we're starting to, I guess, stretch each other a little bit more. It's all best of ones, and it's always worth remembering that is, in a best of 3, you'll have a full long stretch of a team. You'll have yourself set up with the idea that we have other stuff to do. In a best of 1, it's whoever plays this map best pulls it out. And those little tricks, not a lot of teams love to run themselves into it, but there are still pocket plays there.
Yana has a 33% pick rate at this very moment, so is present in 1 out of 3 rounds. I have a little question to ask you,
Yeah.
Which team do you think was more varying in their operator setup, the attack or the defense going into round number 2? How many changes were there compared to?
See, now the fact that you're asking me, I'm going to say the defense.
It is, yes, because we only saw Jekyll change to Blitz on the attack, and what we saw change on the defense was Jaeger to Mira, Wamai to Mute, Ella to Frost, Smoke to Legion, and Vigil to Goyo. So we've seen 10 different operators in 2 rounds on the defense. So if that isn't calling flexible, then I don't know anymore right here. They like to bring all kinds of different operators, and of course, we'll be going for the same set now. Let's see what Mint can make happen on that Blitz, whether or not the counterban was really as efficient as it might have been for Team 1.
You kind of want it to happen.
You kind of want it.
There's this little bit of whenever you see a Blitz on the board, if you're not the opponents, you're like, I want to see success.
I want to see the choo-choo.
Yeah, it's if somebody is synonymous with an operator, if somebody is sort of hand in hand and they say, right, well, this is, you know, this is one of the world's best players with X operator, regardless of whether they're a big in-meta operator or not, if there's something that is X of the best, you kind of want to see it get a bit of a long spread here, because for all the talk of, are people waiting? Are people hiding stuff? Who knows who's playing? There's nothing. You don't hide here. This is it. This is the ultimate. This is the top cup.
It is indeed. Of course, there is still the group stages to play for where the elimination does come in, but you want to make sure you end up in the top 4 of your group as well to get that extra life. Now, that might be worth showing just a little bit extra of that strat book and make sure you're not going to be hiding everything completely, whilst Palu taking care of some drones. Has a shield with Vulcan, that is. He's being pushed by the Blitz as we speak, and he will have to go past that shield. This is a bit of freight, Mint, of that shield blowing up, and it's not happening yet, but definitely a lot of pressure there.
Palu headed up to the second story, and he's still rotating. Wants to TCSG the head off the man in the middle of the danger donut, trying to keep an overwatch towards luggage, but Eclipse knows his angles and able to play himself and keep himself in relative safety. Still, a very effective clear of Sunrise. Drove a man in, drove a man out, and is able to get past the shield, and a very good gun in the hands of a very good gunner. They haven't killed him, but they've shepherded him away. They've taken some land, and now they can apply pressure elsewhere. Nesk on a rotation, and Eclipse on the top suffers as they try and swing onto Aqua and get a little bit more. There's still a body underneath. They had a C4 too. With the potential here, and in fact they still have a couple, but actually I thought it was Nesk, but Nesk had already pulled away. The Legion was the last body there underneath.
Now, DarkZero is at this point where they either have to decide to go fully horizontal, or they are still going to be potentially trying to get some vertical control. And if there is still a member active here, it's Nesk playing with the SMG on that close range. The high fire rate surely will be able to come out on top if any member will be trying to challenge. And instead they decide to not go for the challenge, and that means Nesk is just allowed to play freely here and watch into the Sunrise bars. Maybe at some point any of these DarkZero members will be pushing through, and it seems like it's going to be a horizontal take. There is barely anybody left on the top floor, I would dare to say, to try and make sure that these anchor points are going to be unplayable for the likes of Liquid. Now, it is NGO that is just waiting at the door. There's 30 seconds left. They need to get the pace in now, and the Blitz will definitely start doing that.
There goes another smoke canister on the door, but Mint himself is going to try and dig deep. Skies kills NJR. A little bit of blue on blue, and it's the red that starts to take advantage as the shield goes deep, knocks down the man on the corner, goes for one more just before they're able to actually find somebody else, though. 10 seconds and a cold diffuser. They've got to try and pick something apart, but Eclipse is on the other side of the world, and now, well, there's nobody else inside to pick things back together. DZ, just as they try to scream into sight, they stumble with a TK, and all of the wheels fell off the wagon.
And the Blitz is so effective. You see him just rush in and everybody starts running. The first knife kill comes in. You get the second kill down onto the mirror, decide to save. However, the team kill came in. The support was taken out right there, as you see. Sky's taken care of by Sexy Cake, who now gets knifed himself right after. But that was the diffuser dropped, and it's going to leave you in a very, very, well, unfortunate situation there, as you are that shield. In that moment, you have to choose. Am I going for the kills, or am I going to try and recover that diffuser to hopefully still make a plans happen? And neither of those were true. The down came in, and DarkZero is now trailing 0-2 on their attacks. Let's see.
Thank you, Diamondback. I haven't interacted much with the tweets.
Haven't yet.
Send your tweets. Hashtag #2021. Get them on the screen if they're good enough, if you think you're funny. That's the true test.
Or if you have something useful to say as well, you know. It doesn't have to just be funny. Maybe it's some good analysis we miss, you know.
Maybe it's good analysis.
Maybe.
You want analysis, I want jokes. I guess that says a lot about what we do to this game.
It says a lot about what our roles are to this broadcast, right? I try and find any crazy setup whilst you bring the action in a nice flowing form.
Thank you. It's like you've just described our jobs, and what we need to, I guess, look towards the description of DarkZero. Right now, it's not the smooth, sleek product that we're so used to seeing. I think it's that question of a team who has a lot of kudos behind them, but sometimes you kind of go, okay, where's that bit of that edge of fire? Where's that? I guess you want a bit of a crack, but in a good way, if you know what I'm sort of saying. You get a lot of passion and a lot of fire out of the NA region. You get these huge moments and huge bits of culpability, and when you're against Latin America, sometimes you gotta try and step into the kitchen with the fire of yourself, because if you don't, they start to get into you. They start to get aggressive back against you. They try and meet you in Liquid. They're a fantastically structured team, and that just plays more into their favor if you find yourself with a little bit of caution. Here, though, Nesk and Hyper sort of finding kills of their own, but it's Mint that suffers first against Nesk. Hyper is on a sliver of health as they try and swing around, but it's actually Sexy Cake that drops the next NJR. Nobody is allowed in the building this round.
It's not really going well here for DarkZero. Hyper down low on HP, 2 already taken care of. And then you're looking at what DarkZero have left. All right, they have 1 air jab, they have 2 concussions and an impact, and 18 sets of X-Kairos available to them. What can you do with that? Well, You're on that top floor, so for a start you can open up the VIP angle, hoping that you can maybe get a kill on drinks, but Palu will be taking down Hyper. Makes it even harder as now Skies is the last man standing.
Yet again, we find Skies as the only name on the board, and he's got everything to do in front of him. Barely anything taken out of the sight, but he's at least able to find the first kill against Palu, dropped above and no cost to his own health, but it will be a cost of where he is as they find him on the 90 cam. He's steadying his way towards the bottom of White Stairs, going to try to creep across and hope that he doesn't get caught from behind. He's just wanting something else to slip its way out of Liquid's cool defense, but otherwise they're not giving anything. They're saying, no mate, come on, you've got to do all the work, start your push.
Now we'll be meeting a laser gate. However, he does have 18 X-Carros left, so you can just quickly use one of those or a flashbang to get rid of it, as the smoke canisters do get popped. There's 30 seconds left. It's a 1v4 situation. You do not have much time left. The flashbangs are being tossed in. The pre-fires are there with the Type 89, but it's not that much ammo. He will choke to death as PSK tosses out a smoke canister. We'll be securing the deal, and that is another round here for Liquid to come in. So far, completely in control of this matchup. Not really being challenged by DarkZero all too much yet.
No, and you could kind of see it. They're a little bit disheartened, taking their tactical time out now to talk about it and break up the momentum, as we saw there. And as I was saying, Liquid, they're a fantastically structured team. They're able to have these big holds, as we saw there, and even though they're kind of flirting with the danger coastline offers and getting aggressive and peeking people at doors and alleyways and windows every which way, they still know when they have to pull back to their site. Even though it's a 5 versus 1 that drops to a 4 versus 1, they're not going to overextend. They're going to play around the smoke canisters first. They're still going to play around the utility they've got stepped up. All it does is give them the momentum to the gun skill that really doesn't need anything else, because it's already so good.
It's already so good indeed, and I'm quickly going to give you guys a sneak peek because you can't see it, but they can still secure and lock some operators in, and it looks like a blitz and line are going to be brought by DarkZero. So we've had that quick pace with the blitz, which was available to be used and was very effective as well, but they weren't able to get the round in the end as they lost some teammates due to unfortunate matters. They're looking to double down on that, bringing the Lion out now as we are going for the Blue and Sunrise bar. It looks like, of course, everything is still subject to change as, well, the game is on pause right now, and as it gets unpaused, it is going to get locked in. 6-pick potential still there. Maybe the blitz or the Lion will go. Maybe we'll see a response coming out from Liquid because, well, it is a very aggressive lineup you're seeing. Maybe a Legion, for example, could be a play. As Lion gets 6-picked out to ace, they at least bring a bit of Heartbreach to deal either with Office to Blue or with the double wall to the back of the bomb chassis in Sunrise.
I mean, Lion offers a lot of teams a lot of give on their attacks on Coast. You have to always take into consideration, and I know I described it the other day as paper thin. It's just so quick to being able to get in and aggressive on these close angles, and that short window of the nerfed E1D for the people that have been around since remembering how bad and how big the claws on that Lion used to be. It's a map that can still support it and offer it. And NA, I know I said this before, from my perspective at least, from watching across over the previous year and since the change came out, they were one of the first regions that really reacted and responded well. I think it was a Sonics game where I saw,
could be, yeah,
silly, but this could just be me misremembering something because it was that sort of long ago, where it was big, quick plays. It was, you know, big kind of aggression around the top of the instant pinch pressure that they could apply, and I don't know, I don't think it's a bad choice for a lot of teams.
It definitely cannot be, especially if you manage to bring that aggression as Sexy Cake here. A bit of a gunfight, first one that is, but not really dealing any damage to either. Also, interesting setup we saw towards the offers. An actual rotation hole has been created into the wall that often relies for a safe plant for the attack, and the one next to it has been reinforced. Now, I have been saying in the past, I still don't know why teams would not reinforce that one. If you make a rotation in it, I get it. If you just completely leave it soft, it seems beyond me why that would be done. So I get the setup that Liquid is trying to go for here, whilst aggression is being brought from Hookah. Now, the top floor control is quite important, and the Sexy Cake again launches the attack. It is Min's, the shield, that loses its life, and Now I'm wondering, where was that shield? Because I cannot seem to find it yet.
Well, now with Mint gone, it's kind of knocked out of the board and taken out of the equation, so...
Where was he?
It is a bit of a hunting game. Our Observer Easy is trying to locate where he might have been and where he might have, I guess, been instantly removed from. Either way, here comes that blue response and a bit of pressure coming across the top towards AK, where they're pinging the hatch, saying, well, somebody's close and underneath it inside the office, but there's also, as you see, that stretch pinch rotation towards Hookah. NJR's on the opposite side, but now we can see a Liquid player coming up, Cool Vibes, offering a bit of kind of recourse and a bit of pressure back to double down on the gun that's inside there, but otherwise, they're saying, well, let's hold it for now. We've still got the hatch. We've got to keep this hold, this vertical. And, well, they're able to win their firefight out. Nesk was a big problem behind this shield before, and he's going to make sure he replicates that this time.
Drops down as soon as the pressure and the utility seems to be dropping down and finds himself a way into blue. And there you see that rotation I was calling about before, allowing him to play from the blue side. Hoping that they are going to be able to stall out DZ long enough, because what control do they really have? Nothing much, as they still don't have any verticality. Still need to start creating that if they want to use it, and NGR will drop, but that is not going to be helping them.
I think Ness got one. I have a feeling that the Blitz died on Hookah Balk as well. I don't know why, but I thought I saw a body there earlier. Either way, it's been doubled up and joined by someone else as Eclipse desperately looks for something from the verticality here. They've got it, but they've got to try and make use of it, and they can't quite get the angles, because yet again, Liquid, what they're feeding them is only when they want to take. Hyper gets one, gets dropped, gets picked back up there with a 1 versus 3 now. He's spraying in the middle of the pillar, but Parlu is the one that pulls apart the poses.
Very costly there, what we saw on that top floor. You saw the vertical angle being used, and you saw him move through. Didn't spot the player initially, then wanted to go for the repeat, but at that point was already spotted himself. And, well, we all saw how that happened. You heard me, you know, it's a bit irritated, I guess. Like, if you see someone, you try and go for the repeat, they will see you too. And, well, Liquid, they're not being quiet on the gunning department, we have to say. They're really aggressive, they're really effective. And so far, 0-4, completely in the driver's seat here for this game. As DarkZero yet to be finding an answer here. And I'm quickly checking the live stats window. We have a total of 8 kills on DarkZero in these last 4 rounds. So it's 2 on average. Not really the way to go at it. 4 members of Liquid have a 100% cost. Only Moringa right now at a 33%. Well, Skies is the only member on DarkZero with a 100% cost so far.
You know, he's often been that sort of last bastion player for the team across the whole tournament, especially. We're seeing him be the last name on the board, but it's a tricky situation to be in when you're sort of trying to pull the team together, trying to bring a lot of that sort of experience and a lot of that kind of, I guess, seconds left before insertion. You're against a massively experienced team here.
Yeah.
So 5 seconds left. It becomes this moment of who's able to step in with those new guns, and NGR unfortunately just hasn't been able to have a look in this game. And he's been, you know, hot and cold throughout this tournament. He's been on and off, not to make the joke about the placement, but yeah, he's been... I was
going to say it, but...
he's been consistently having these moments and then unfortunately not being
dangerous.
And this is one of them now, but dangerous for now. The Pokmat's set up.
Just a single shot would have been able to save them a lot of pain by taking out Sexy Cake there, but of course they had no information. There was no drone, there was no info, sound or anything like that. Instead, DarkZero making some quick work trying to take VIP control here. Very, very important to do so. Allows them to go for that vertical play, something they basically haven't done yet these past 4 rounds, and is something I'm basically hammering on. You need to take vertical control if you want to be successful on a map like Coastline, and, well, it hasn't happened yet. Not at all.
Sexy Cake is just holding that angle aggressively. He was already looking up towards it, hoping someone would hop in on the double window, but Hyper comes from Hall of Fame side and starts to apply the pressure himself, but now with that mirror window open, a bit of an extended hold there through onto the bathroom, not onto the bathroom, onto the bedroom, and VIP across that side. They have themselves a bit of a lockdown on that double window. Sexy Cake is still there is still trying to cause a problem, but doesn't quite catch the man who slips through. However, fires some bullets and gives a bit of the game away, but decides, well, I'm going to go on an adventure. And that is to see if he can potentially maybe apply some pressure up Cool Vibes. He has that option to rotate and offer some support to the bodies that are above. But again, what we've seen from Liquid is they'll hold these holds for as long as they need to, but then more than able to go, okay, now we fall back to offer some cover and support. Palu, in the meantime, blows the clips into the skies, leaves them yet again with a man deficit.
And the issue is here that there's not a single grenade being used by any of the DarkZero members, as Ness gets a second C4 kill, just absolutely insane. NGR goes quite low as well, a double down coming in, and Skies is the last man standing as Ness just finishes it off with the SMG-11. Now going for the aggressive peek, and it's going to be a quad kill there for Nesk. Liquid, round 5, and look at them, they're absolutely energetic right here. And well, I'm looking over the setup that DarkZero has been bringing. We haven't seen a single nade operator being used. And at this point, you even see Liquid opting out of picking a Jaeger, actually, because there's no need, you know, if there's no nades being brought, why would we bring that Jaeger? Like, not really a big threat anyway. And then you're looking at that mirror window, and you see them struggle. Like, DarkZero decided, all right, in the first 4 rounds, let's just go for a horizontal take. Let's do it like that. See if we can take it. Failed. Then 5th round, they go for a vertical take, but they struggle with the mirror window. Now, a simple grenade would have actually been able to dislodge the player, potentially flush him out, and you could have top floor control. However, it's just lacking. And it's up to them. Like, I'm not forcing them to pick a nade operator. I'm just saying it could have been helpful.
Well, I guess they have one more round to see if they can offer themselves a bit of a safety barrier. Yes, 2 nades have been brought in the hands and the pockets of Skies, and I guess let's see if they can be that bit of the difference maker. Try and force Team Liquid into one of those uncomfortable situations where they'll either do plan A, which has been, as I said before, their standard plan. Hold on to a bit of a site or a bit of a hold, a bit of an extension for as long as they can, but have the wherewithal to go, okay, now I need to drop. We saw it from Ness when he's playing in Hookah Hatch. We just saw it there as well, as I was saying above. Granted, at that point, the team rotated up to offer support because they started getting kills and went, well, let's see what else is there. But it's been a consistent of Liquid. The grenade gives them the option. Drop earlier and lose the position, or die. And that's something they need to start posing to Liquid.
Liquid really in control so far, and they have a bit of pressure now they can use. Of course, the Jaeger is on the board. Palu brought him. Making the positions, of course, quite powerful. However, there's 3 flashbangs, 2 smoke canisters. There's also 2 extra air chips they might use, and 4 lifeline ammunition. There is Palu taking a lot of damage down. He's going aggressive on the pistol. Not quite sure what he's thinking about. We're losing his life right there. Skies just peekabooing right behind the bush. Able to pick up the entry there. Second time. It goes to DarkZero in this matchup so far.
Yeah, I don't think Palu was thinking about very much there as he kind of went in. As I said, Team Liquid are a team that loves to get that confidence and energy behind their aggression. They're 5-0 up, so he thought he would just swing, see if he can get rewarded, but DarkZero, they might be a bit downtrodden. You can see it in the player cams, but they're still able to pull themselves back in. One buffer round, one bit of safety before they head over to their defenses, which is where we know they can perform very well. They'll be aware of that as well. They've just got to try and take one, give themselves that singular lifeline, that phone a friend, and the friend, well, it's Hyper dropping PSK from Aqua, digs deep past his luggage, and allows them this now, the corner of the hole. They can wait, lock it off, let the drones whir and burr underneath, see if they can pull some intel and make sure they're safe with the potential flanks too. But for the first time, DarkZero have some semblance of control.
Really strange there from Liquid to see them use that smoke in such an aggressive manner, losing 3 of your toxic beauties. They will no longer be able to be tossed into a position. Now DarkZero have the opportunity to try and go for default plants, and you see them trying to take care. Is that a grenade they just used? Yeah, they just used a grenade to try and get rid of the serial laser gate, as NGR picks up a kill onto Nesk right now, and Sexy Cake is in a good spot to go for a potential flank. He takes out the air jib as well, I believe.
NGR is able to get off the board, but they don't quite confirm the kill. He crawls away, dropped the wrong thing, just a vase. The diffuser, however, planted in and amongst the mess. They were able to find their way through. They lost a couple of bodies, and NJR's still on the floor. He'll probably get dropped, but Moringa drops one of his own, and suddenly it's only Hyper left against the rest. He's down in luggage. He's able to try and offer himself a bit of space here. They just have to have one go for the defuse and the cover. The swing comes, and Moringa goes. 20 seconds left. Sexy Cake in a clutch situation here to put them on map point, but Hyper keeps them with a lifeline, gives them one very necessary and needed round, and DarkZero, well, they have one slip up in what otherwise needs to be a perfect defensive half.
It's what they're getting indeed, and well, we gotta say they executed onto the mistakes of Liquid pretty well here, DarkZero. You first have, I believe it was Apollo that went super aggressive outside? Yeah, just peeking out with the pistol, not really sure what was happening there, but got punished for it, and after that you have PSK just peeking aggressively into Aquarium, while still having 3 smoke canisters in pocket. It's not really the way you would like to play these games, and it shows that Liquid is feeling very loose in the game right now. Like, they haven't been challenged enough to completely go like they should play. Like, let's just put it up like that. Almost a turnaround after the defuse, but again, they didn't wait for each other. They just peeked one by one. It would have been better if they would just peek out at the same time, and that way they would have been able to get the clean 0-6, but DarkZero able to fight back for now. It's a 3K from Hyper there, as well as a 1v2 clutch, so well played for DarkZero, but now they need to be flawless.
Not an easy feat, I think it's fair to say, especially when you're up against Liquid, who, okay, they've been a bit hit and miss in the tournament compared to what we expected, but what a lot of people expected from Liquid was to just wash over, live up to their name and their namesake, and make sure that nobody was able to survive the tsunami of what they've been able to pull and achieve recently inside their region. So, DZ, you got a bit of an ask ahead of you, and the possibility here to pull off what Empire, to be fair, almost pulled off against you just earlier this day. You were in the same sort of position. 5-1 after some after Empire failed some attacks and they almost pulled it back. You know that you can go the distance because they did. Find that energy, find that within yourself, and find some Liquid bodies.
Quick pressure being put up here. They want to take control of VIP and hopefully Penthouse as well. Knowing they don't need to necessarily challenge Penthouse, there is going to be a player there, so there needs to be some attention towards him, making sure that he's not going to be going for some crazy hero play. But the true vertical pressure they need is located in Penthouse, in VIP. So that is where the main priority will be coming from, as Nesk now debating whether or not to run out for the actual kill potentially in the hallway or not. Oh, this is good.
Swinging steadily, Nesk moves inside the explosion. Hyper's pulled back to hold the angle as the grenade pops just behind the mirror window, but nobody's home. Now, the mirror window pops too. They're playing this as if they are still there. They're aware that someone was around the place, but it's Nesk that drops the hatch, finds Mint, finds the site, finds no! Sky shuts them down and is able to do a very, very important maneuver, which is not lose the site. Hyper locks off Palu on the top floor and is able to keep that lock down. They believed they'd cleared this out after the success of before, but he didn't panic, kept his cool, and now, well, he's found himself a rotation back down to the site itself. Eclipse has himself that ability and has himself a double kill. A C4 pops off, and so does DarkZero. They found themselves a little bit more in this round. PSK, he's got a lot to do here as he reconvenes, recollects, and re-rotates down to office.
Well, in that case, I just saw Ness jump over the bed and suddenly drop down all the way, and you know, he was like, oh, well, I got one kill, why not just rush the side and try and find more? Unfortunately for him, Skies was there, and after that, Eclipse with a beautiful C4 through actual prepped hole, making sure he picks up a double, and it's only up to PSK now. It seems like they're very well aware of where he's coming from, especially with that mirror window. You know, usually with 20 seconds now in a 1v4 situation, not even having a diffuser in your hand, you need to make sure that you use this time wisely. And well, it might not be by tossing it out in the open, so just taking it as long as you possibly can to make sure that you discuss what needs to be discussed for the next round, because this did not go as planned.
DarkZero You've done the first of, for you, hopefully many now, as you're able to get a bit of the momentum. You even were taken by surprise, lost that entry, but the response of the bodies inside the site, and I've still got to give credit to Hyper upstairs, who was able to kind of keep his cool, keep his calm. A lot of players in that moment, especially if they didn't have that experience, would sort of see that the site was under pressure and potentially fall and go, okay, well, maybe I need to get a bit aggro. He held himself there and made sure as soon as Liquid made the mistake, they were able to punish it, which was how they were able to take their first round in this entire game, punishing Liquid's mistakes, keeping their head on level shoulders, and I guess trying to keep themselves steady on now.
I have to say, Liquid there, again, a little bit carelessly. Considering the fact that, you know, they knew there was a player down there in theater, but instead of pushing also from the luggage side, they wanted to go head on from the VIP hallway. Not really the play if you ask me, but DarkZero are able to make good use of it. So, you know, that's it. They're trying to go for that comeback, and they need these mistakes on the side of Liquid if they want to make sure that they can make that happen, because we find ourselves in the 2-5 right now. Liquid are going to be under pressure soon if they don't start closing out these rounds.
5 seconds to go.
Well, still a big extension here across the top floor. They're making sure that they have the play space to cause some problems. The mirror window on the Cool Vibes rotate. It's seen sometimes, it obviously, you know, you expect it to be popped and then it just turns into a bit of a tricky rotate either way, but it allows you to get aggressive at a potentially fast-moving team. This team, however, Liquid, is steadying their way towards the other mirror window, currently occupied by Hyper. He's back inside theater, holding on, watching a movie, but the movie is who is going to drop this shower or fall in front of me first.
Hoping to pick up some kills again, as drones are the first to enter to find some information, and they will be well aware of the fact that Hyper is trying to put some pressure down. Going to go for the wall bangs even on that drone. He's very eager to get that taken care of. Fortunately, though, it's that mirror window. Needs to be taken care of with some Xcaros. I'm not quite sure what those have been deployed, as doesn't seem to be on that mirror window.
Well, PSK is offering a little bit of support from the white window, but there's also another body inside luggage too. It's turning into a bit of a pinch against this mirror window, so it's how long they think that they can hold on to it without losing their life. As we said, it's a bit of a fall-back game. There it is. The luggage body has rotated round to offer a little bit more countenance against PSK on the white window, make sure that they're not as comfortable to just hold this angle in this rotation. If the is free to stay here, well, that's free to cause problems. Heard a C4 potentially ripped and torn. It's ready and waiting, but again, they're not quite safe, not quite secure, and not quite comfortable here either. There is one body on this double window. There's two bodies trying to get past, and the second is the one that finds it. Hyper slips on by, but Nesk makes sure that only one of them escapes. NJR's dropped after giving his life to save his teammate.
I'd say those were two really smartly placed Mew jammers there, protecting the window and the angle that you could have created from the side of VIP. So well played there by DarkZero. Managed to hold on long to it. Liquid needed to push a physical member in to get control of that. And now, 45 seconds to go up to the next quest, and that quest will be to get a plan down or kill all DZ members. And you have two options. You could either go for the full-out kill blow, or you need to make sure that you get that plan down. And well, if you're looking at it, maybe Aquarium is the best place to do so.
PSK peeking around the corners of the luggage to see if anybody's home, but it's otherwise all stacked around this northerly corner. There's the body in Hookah, and obviously the extension around the vase at the top of the stairs. One on Cool Vibes 2. It's a bit of a crossfire you've angled yourself into. You go for one, get dropped, get traded. All across the board, we're finding pressure here, but it's DarkZero able to get a little bit of solidity back. There's a man on the billiards table. They might not know how close he is, but Eclipse doesn't even care. Drops him and doesn't wait around. Only 2 rounds separate the two teams.
Indeed, the 5-0 became a 5-3. DarkZero have the opportunity to get back into this game, and well, that opportunity is now. Round number 9. If they manage to win this one, suddenly we'll find ourselves in a very close scoreline of a 4-5 here in Coastline. And the bars are the site they decide to go to. The bars are the site that they decide they want to win this round on. Castles being brought, the post smoke. Wondering how that castle setup will work. Might be used to either extend and defend office. Or it's going to be a bit more internal, due to the fact, of course, there is a sledge available. You don't really be wanting to put those castle barricades on outside windows or doors, because those are just quickly dealt with with relative little risk.
Decaying is bought in the pockets here, but so is Oryx, an operator who can have huge success on this map. I talked about this before on Coastline. If you had a paper and you wrote on it things that Oryx could do on this map, oftentimes it ends up looking better than what actually happens.
Yeah.
He's so much potential in the right hands, and Eclipse might be the right hands of this. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this won't work. I really want it to work. It's like when you look at an Amaru plant and you go, this could work in the hands of a couple of people. It does, and it's excellent. It's the same here. You look at this map and you look at what restricts it. It's 2 staircases. You look at the hatch possibility, aqua, luggage, you're looking at the one that's around the lobby entrance, you're looking at all these places that you can pop up in corners and mess up an entire team's roam clear because it's unexpected. It takes confidence, bravado, chutzpah, and everything else in between. Eclipse, are you the one to make this dream come true?
It's often that a lack of information, of course, results in the Oryx not having the opportunity to really jump up safely. The last thing you want to happen is you jumping up and you being taken care of in the middle of the animation, so you have to be certain of it. And with the current Valkyrie ban, you're not really going to be able to play around that. So instead, it will be used for a bunch of dashes. As Eclipse heading back up to the Cool Vibe stairs, making sure that the verticality will stay in control of DarkZero. Now, I believe the castle barricades have been placed towards the big window. Not quite sure what the others are. Maybe aquarium or anything like that. Yeah, there you have it. 2 of them located at that pocket, at that side on billiards. Third one, I know, but it doesn't seem to matter. This, however, does show how important the verticality is for DarkZero, how badly they want to hold on to it. And well, if Nesk starts it off, it's all became a little bit harder right now.
You could see Nesk was getting a bit passionate over the past couple round losses. He's talking, keeping them coordinated. It's a big thing about Liquid is they are a very vocal team, and they know when they need to bring their energy up. To be fair, he's on a 13-4. He's having a bit of a tear here, but you need to try and lock it out, and that's the big problem because another round slips by, and I can't not see them needing that sort of, tactical timeout, that conversation just to stop the pace entirely swinging into DC's favor. But they're eyeing towards these castle windows. They're making the calls and seeing if they can apply some pressure here. The pings are coming through, and it's still just a bit of a rotation, a reevaluation as they say, well, maybe we don't need to fully throw ourselves towards here. We have this swing round as Moringa dances and eyes the danger door right next to the site itself. Can't quite see anybody on the jiggle, but has opened the soft wall either side as Eclipse is rotated around to offer Skies some support.
Jammer there will be making sure that Skies' phone will not be ringing. Of course, doesn't really seem to matter. They have opened up behind the bar, and well, right now that verticality that is in control still of DarkZero will be really key, so they need to make sure they take the control. Eclipse will go down. Skies is stuck between these 2 barricades. He is very key right now.
Well, they're looking towards it now as it comes over the clutch. Hyper drops 1. Skies brings the body balance back to a balance now. The hot ping comes around the corner, but he gets dropped by the man who sees him first, Nesk, on a triple. Now it's just 1 body left, no longer. Team Liquid put themselves on map point.
There you have it. The map point is in. Could have been there for a long while, but right now they're starting to strike back and they're starting to end the dreams of DarkZero to make the comeback happen. After 5 consecutive rounds, Liquid, that was DarkZero able to pick up 3. Now Liquid return a favor. 1 more round is in their pockets, and that means they only need 1 more round to secure and close this game and secure and close their day. A full point is what they're fighting for right now as we speak, and well, they definitely want to take that to make sure they close the gap to the European teams, because currently BDS and Empire are both on the top with 5 points, whilst the rest of the group is trailing with 3 or less.
Okay, DZ, you were on a 5-0 deficit and you're able to tie 3 together. You've just got to try and find that energy to do that 1 more time. Over toward the penthouse suite, a place you can try and lock down with the extensions that is offered by those Goyo shields. You're going to play this with that little bit of aggression, a Rooney to burn things too, not bringing the mirror, which is often seen around this site, but I guess they don't want to play around that predictability. They want to keep themselves with a bit of a source, a bit of a, I guess, something that can pull away from the progression and the expectation that Liquid can apply in terms of the pressure that they have been pretty good at putting against the mirror windows so far.
They've definitely been able to put up some good pressure here, and we see the vision holes being created. Also see the nuke being brought by Sexy Cake. That might be leading into a bit of a sneaky play, because we've seen, I believe, earlier today where a plant came in with a nuke and wasn't able to be spotted out on the cameras, and suddenly 45 seconds and the lunchbox appears. What are you going to do in that moment in time when you realize that that is the current situation you're fighting against? Because Sexy Cake is already entering. Just misses the person that enters the blue bar, but might be able to chase him down as the drone now gives out the spot. There we have it. That's the entry. Mint will drop. Sexy Cake with a good opening to start things off.
Yeah, sneaking around and going for an entirely different point of ingress here. Had the possibility of cool vibes, but expected them to. Well, expect it so. Tries to play the reverse. You can see that a body was instantly there, ready to try and get the refrag and the trade. In the meantime, Moringa has crept his way steadily along via the offices to see if anybody is balanced here. But with the open hatch, it makes it a bit of a problem. You can't ever be entirely sure that it's clear. They're not playing with the Oryx to get the possibility of the reverse play, but NJR, he's aware. He's pinging, he's waiting, but he's also concerned because his rotation out is a little bit potentially mirrored and marred by anybody that might be holding on to the top. So he slips by, gets a little bit aggressive here, tries and find just a bit of this firefight, just a bit of the taste, so he knows where he can apply his pressure and his concentration.
Yeah, Moringa just heard a bunch of SAM coming through that hatch, so we'll be deciding to hold it off for a while, making sure that he does not get flanked whilst the rest of Liquid is setting themselves up. In the meantime, we still have one player left in Billiards. I believe that is Eclipse playing there. Might be wrong. Yeah, there it is. A very long angle that will be held. In the meantime, a Merson comes up. Nask gets taken care of. It's back to a 4-on-4. 70 seconds left. Hyper picks up one as well. Now the kills are starting to flood in. A grenade will be taking care of Skies, and there comes the plan. PSK starting to make it happen. To see Phil will come out, but it's going to be too short, and that means 45 seconds on the clock. This could be Liquid's game.
Sexy Cake drive-bys one more, and Moringa locks it off on the white stairs, and suddenly it is all over. Blinked and you missed it, but you wouldn't have seen it either way, because a sneaky nook was the one who slipped past the defenses and slipped into, I believe, at least a 3K, if not a 4. Either way, Liquid, they find themselves one more victory, one more notch on their belt. And DarkZero, they had a little bit of a resurgence after being down, but unfortunately the deficit was just a bit too big.
It was a bit too big indeed after the first 5 rounds of Liquid. You're already like, where did DarkZero go? Where is the DarkZero that we saw earlier today playing against Empire? Because it was nothing like it. They were just completely being picked apart, and well, during the 6th round, it was a little bit of a gift by Liquid, you can almost say. Just unnecessary peaks coming through. Managed to pick that one up. They managed to pick up the next 2 rounds as well, and well, Liquid closes it out in the end with a triple kill of Sexy Cake to come through in that final round.
Now, for one more time on the Bravo stream, we're going to throw it over to a quick break before we find ourselves on the analyst desk. We will see you after these short messages.
What does it take to create a secure community? Join us on the 2nd episode of I Call Next as we discover how to protect what's most important and enable worry-free play.
And welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the desk here. An unfortunate loss being suffered for DarkZero as they close their day out 0-2 against the Brazilian squads. But what a win from Team Liquid. Ness specifically popping off inside of this matchup. And he's not the only one. What a game for them, right, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. Team Liquid just taking it to DarkZero in absolutely every sense of the term. Honestly, this is probably DarkZero's worst game from today. They didn't have a great showing on Oregon. They're back here on Coastline up against TL. And as you guys look through these replays, it's basically just a Team Liquid highlight reel. There was a clutch inside of round 6. That was DarkZero on offense, finally able to secure a round on their offense for the very first time. And as I just said, yes, round 6. They only were able to secure 1, and that came with a clutch from Hyper as well as a 3K from him as well. So Liquid just always in the lead, constantly able to get these first bloods. It was just a very difficult game to watch if you're a DZ fan.
You're seeing it here on these replays, man. This was a playground for the first half for Team Liquid here. Every single round except rounds 2 and 3, there was a multi-kill from Nesk or someone else on Team Liquid. 3 of them were from Nesk. Moringa as well got a 3K on the final round that they lost as well. So many players from Team Liquid just being allowed to do literally whatever they want on that defensive side. And it led to such a skewed game right before DarkZero were even able to start turning things around. And yes, there was that slight comeback for DarkZero, but ultimately, in my opinion, it was coming in too little too late, regardless of the circumstances.
Yeah, and in case you guys were wondering, like if there's one thing to just drive this home as much as possible, Nesk inside of 4 rounds with all those multi-kills, 13 kills inside of 4 rounds. If that guy's not the best fragger in the entire world, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what the argument is. This guy's been doing this for years, ever since the beginning of time, basically, all the way back on Black Dragons. And he's still here today as a father in 2021, just decimating North America. Team Liquid, hats off to you guys.
For sure. And of course, it's important to remember how this day started off for DarkZero as well. They had a great beginning to the day. They took down Team Empire with that 8-7 win there, but had just been unable to leverage anything against either of these Latin American teams, seemingly struggling to work against that play style, as we saw these similar issues popping up not just in this game, but in the one they played just a match before this as well, when they took on Team 1 on Oregon. We'll get the stats on the screen, and again, we can highlight this even more. No one really showing up in that matchup for DarkZero, save for Hyper, who was literally the only positive player. Didn't even have the highest cost. That one actually goes over to Skies. Another important thing to note as well, did not see Eclipse necessarily showing up as much in this matchup as he had been in the previous ones, where he was honestly on a lot of times the player that pulled DarkZero out of these bad positions inside of the middle of the round, these dark spots on the overall scoreline. He's usually the shining light that brings them back, and unfortunately that was not the case inside of this game.
Yeah, and you partner that with NJR not having the best performance today either, and this is just very difficult for DarkZero. Obviously, Mint not having the best showing as well, but more and more of a support role than anything, so not as many frags going to be coming his way, but we do expect more out of NJR with his positioning and how DarkZero have been using him. But either way, DZ have got to get something figured out up against these LATAM squads, because honestly, it comes down to the frag department. The multi-kills are just too bountiful for both of these squads inside of these last 2 games. And DarkZero, either you have to get a better lockdown on these engagements or something of the sort. Like, it's just so worrisome, especially like flashing back to the Team 1 game and talking about that kitchen engagement where that SMG-11 triple kill came through for Team 1 from, I believe, Neskin, if I remember that properly. It's just those kinds of engagements where he's getting those disjointed 1v1s and he's able to take down multiple DarkZero members, all off of just game sense. He knows the angles that they're going to be challenging. He knows where they're going to be using those breaches to make those new lines of sight, and he just kills DarkZero because of those. And it seems like they're running into those issues yet again here on Coastline with Team Liquid.
Well, with these 2 losses, this presents a very realistic issue for DarkZero. Let's take a look at the standings now and see where they, as well as Team Liquid, are going to be positioned at after those most recent matches. Team Liquid shoots forward ever further past Furia now and into 3rd place in the group. Still sitting behind Empire and BDS, however, as obviously they have that slightly better record at 5-1 compared to the 4-2 that Liquid has. Here's the problem for DarkZero, though. Another loss. They now sit at 2-4 overall, meaning that they are nearly a assuredly inside of our lower bracket group pool at this point, and they are fighting for survival more than anything to outpace some of those other teams there between 7th and 10th place.
Well, the good news is for North America is that we're still ahead of G2. So, you know, we still got that going for us. So at least we're able to still somewhat make jokes, which is fine.
Just don't mind those like 3 other European teams above them, though.
It's okay. Don't tell Jess. All right, don't tell Jess. Anyways, DarkZero, we're really hoping for their future. I mean, it's only day 3 right now. Obviously, we have 3 more days in a row, but it's just so difficult because it's one of those things where we see them beat Empire, and what an amazing game it was on console, but immediately after that they played 2 LATAM squads back to back and they run into the exact same issue on both ends. I mean, that obviously puts this onto DarkZero's shoulders. They need to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to play against this playstyle.
Well, thankfully, the good news for DarkZero is I believe they do have a little bit of a break tomorrow as we switch in groups once again. Let's go ahead and take a look at our schedule and see what exactly is going to be on the docket. As indeed, that is correct. We'll be going back to our other group. Over on the mainstream, we're going to start the day off with NIP versus MIBR. NIP will follow that one up with another matchup against Parabellum from Canada. Space Station will then take on the Mantle versus MIBR and follow that up with another match against Parabellum, who will end the day versus Giants. What's going on this stream, though, Sam?
Oh, we're going to check that out, don't we? We got Giants and Makers to start off the day, which should be pretty fun, especially if you're a European fan. Makers have been pretty entertaining so far. Then Giants with the back-to-back up against TSM, followed by Oxygen on Ninjas in Pajamas. Make sure to look forward to that one, folks. Should be a banger. Then Oxygen with the NA matchup up against TSM to round out the day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's tomorrow and that's today as well. Thank you all very much for tuning in here on the Bravo stream. I believe we still have some action going on over on the main channel, so go ahead and check that out if you're still interested in following what's been going on today. But if not, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for all of the great action as SI 2021, the group stage anyway, continues. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you tomorrow for more.